Today's episode of Tiling Connect is brought to you by Lux's Grates, the leaders in aluminium drainage, which are UV stable, rust proof and customisable on site. Available in your local tile or plumbing shop. Hey everybody, Mark here from Tiling Connect. Welcome to another episode. Very lucky to have some extra fantastic guests with us today. I have Dallas and Sonya, or Sonya and Dallas as it's written in their heading, from GCF on the Gold Coast at Nerang. Really honoured to have them here today. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Look, I think you've probably caught a few episodes we've recorded in the past, so I'm sure you understand how we get into the flow of these things. I'm certainly not going to chew up the airspace, but I'd love to. I know I've known Sonya for a long time, probably close to 20 years, I think, or thereabouts. But Dallas, you and I have only met recently. I'm going to hand the floor over to you both and would love for you to tell us a little bit about you and yourselves and the business and how you got here today.
Thanks, Mark. Sonya, I've known Sonya for almost around about the same time, maybe 15 years or so. Like, she used to sell tiles to me when I was a tiler on the tools myself. And
Nice.
and then, one day I just sort of said to her I was looking for someone to help me manage a trade shop. Started off just a trade shop. And I said, if you know of anyone, maybe let me know or whatever. And she said, how about me? And I said, you'd never leave your job where you are. And she said, yes, I would. So that's pretty much how it came about. Yeah.
Nice. And Dallas, you've been on the tools for quite a while. Tell us a little bit more about your history in the industry.
Started when I was quite young, maybe about 15 or 16. And actually started as a carpenter first, but I enjoyed the finishing side more of carpentry. So I decided tiling would be more up my alley.
Nice.
Just sort of started off doing like kind of project homes and things like that at the start, but I got a bit bored with that and wanted to sort of learn a bit more, get a bit more into the detail, high-end sort of things. Had a couple of good teachers, did a lot of work in the Sovereign Islands and Hope Island and that around the Gold Coast to start. And then sort of transitioned into commercial high-end retail after that. Started my own business in about 2012 and mainly doing high-end homes, but then sort of maybe around 2014 moved into commercial retail and then started doing a bit of high-end retail, and we've done some pretty good projects in that sort of retail sector.
Yeah, cool. So are you one of these people that's been born into tiling? Is this been something you've done your whole life, or? No,
it wasn't. My father was a builder, so naturally that's why I went to the carpentry side first.
Yeah.
I just didn't quite like certain things. I like to be able to see everything you could do. Like, with the carpentry, a lot of your walls and that you build get sheeted or tiled over or whatever, but I just wanted to be able to see everything. So I suppose everything with tiles is like a finishing trade, it's all exposed. So I just enjoyed that side of it more. So definitely wasn't born into it.
And for all of those listeners at home, listen to Dallas. Become a tiler. It's much funner. It's prettier. It's sexier. It's all of those things. Carpentry is great. Carpentry is great, but you can't see it.
But we still need people to be able to do that so that we can do the other stuff.
Of course, yes. Yeah. Choose that as your second option.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
No, that's fantastic. And Sonya, look, you've been in architectural design for pretty much your entire life. Tell us, take us back to the beginning. How did you start in tiling?
I actually worked with a builder for a little while, and then I actually went through a divorce and then had to get a job. So that was like a lead into tiling.
Yeah.
I actually got a job with a tile company here in Nerang, and that's where I was able to produce more than just sales, etc., because I have a lot of art background, and I was always interested in architecture and interior design, so I've kind of gone down that track, and I did that progressively, and then it's just kind of bloomed from there. So I just keep on doing what I do best, and that's designing. And then with the opportunity that Dallas gave me was really an opportunity that I had to take, because it was something that was, I had the ability to do something that's not really well known here, in terms of showrooms, etc. Most showrooms are quite boring. This one's a little bit more eccentric, but it serves a lot of purposes, and that's pretty much the angle that we've gone for with the design. The design basically features a lot of things that are lacking in the industry, and it just gives people the opportunity to see what you can do with a vision. And there's no such thing as no to anything that I've designed so far. Dallas has been really good and let me pretty much take the reins on it. And that's pretty much it, really.
So
just
it's been,
as a creative background, that's kind of where it's gone.
Yeah, nice. And so it's very much been a little bit like a blank canvas for you with this showroom and studio.
From the get-go, it was just a shell. Dallas pulled everything down, the walls, etc., and then we've just built everything from the ground up.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so cool. I suppose, I could lead on to my next question, but I want to pick up on a few things that you both mentioned, in your opening. So you mentioned, Sonya, before about most showrooms being boring. Yes, I sort of find that innovation is probably one of the things that's largely lacking in a big part of our industry. I think you'll find from time to time some of the major companies may attempt to innovate, but certainly not all. What do you think it is about showrooms that pulls people in? What's the wow factor that gets them coming to a particular studio or tile studio?
I think it's pretty much the whole picture, and then also the people in it. I mean, you can actually work out of a showroom that doesn't have much. It's just the person that's there that's able to guide you into what you can actually do.
Yeah.
But having a showroom where, as a visual, it's an impact that grabs people straight up. And because of some of the designs that we've actually done, they are probably things that you wouldn't even think about doing.
Yeah.
But because we do have the capability, well, Dallas has the capability of making things come into fruition. For example, we've got a lot of large format slabs that we've got on the wall. We also have porcelain fronted cabinets, which aren't often done. And then we've also got a lot of rounder edges. We've got a lot of different flooring and different basically features and finishes and all sorts of stuff. And it's all just a combination of everything.
Yeah,
so
that's really cool.
It just emphasises the can-do attitude that we have.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Dallas, from your perspective, obviously you've spent quite a number of years on the tools in both different trades. Like, what was your core inspiration behind then going from that into, I'm not going to call it retail, but it is partially retail, right? But this is like an exquisite showroom experience. So what drove you to go down that path?
I suppose the transitions that I've made, like from my tiling to other things. So I don't just do tiling anymore. Like, we do all floor coverings, wall finishes, things like that. So I suppose it was kind of the idea that we can kind of install anything Like with the contractors that we've got, we can basically cover all bases in relation to flooring. But I suppose there was just one thing missing, and that's actually designing the space. So, I mean, sometimes you would go into a house or a retail store or something like that, and the client would ask you to lay the products that they've supplied, but deep down in your mind, you're thinking, this doesn't look good. You know, this like, I'll put them down for you, but these things don't go well together. Yeah. And that's where the design side of thing comes in, is we can then design, supply and install all the products. So I think that just sort of ticks all the boxes.
Yeah, it basically complements the crux of the business, which is the supply and install, but having the opportunity to design everything, everything kind of clicks into place, and then there's no hiccup or one part of the design doesn't work with the other. That's more of a flowing thing.
I like that. I think it's a little bit like project management, right? It's very much around from conceptual idea, design, into construction phase, into handing it over to the client. So it's very much the full piece or full project in one sort of handshake. So, and I mean, do you think, Dallas or Sonya, do you think that the future of tiling is going to be customers will literally come into a studio or a showroom, make a selection, and then want you to install it? Is that where? Do you think that's where we're going? Like, especially given the trade shortage that we're seeing across the country.
I think so. Yes, and if you like, it's people will feel more comfortable knowing that they're in good hands with someone that when you walk into a showroom like this and they feel relaxed and comfortable and they trust, you as a person, and then you recommend to them a product and then you recommend to them an installer as well. Yeah. It's not kind of like, well, here's your tiles, here's 6 numbers of someone that can do it, but we don't want to vouch for these people because, we don't want to make ourselves look bad or whatever. But it would happen quite a lot where people would just sort of wipe their hands of the install phase of it because they don't want to be held liable for who they've recommended or whatever. So I suppose it puts a lot of liability on us, but a lot of trust for the client, I think, too.
Yeah.
I think you're backing yourself though when you make that when you build that sort of business. You really are saying, hey, look, I know how good we are. I know the sort of service that we can deliver. I know the sort of design we can offer. I know the sort of showroom experience or installation experience I can offer. I'm just going to do it. And I mean, your business better than anybody because you've built it from the ground up. So I think that's a pretty admirable thing to be able to wear that as a badge of honour. Being able to offer that to customers. I think it's great.
Yeah, thanks. And that's the thing too, is because when I was in the tiling industry, 9 times out of 10, you'd come up with a fabulous design for someone, and the client gets so excited about it.
Yeah.
And then comes back weeks later and goes, "We can't get anyone to install." Yeah. They just don't have confidence, and they don't know what to do with the product, right? So, and that's another thing that we'd like to emphasize as well, is because we do have that trade background. We also run a trade store for tilers and floor layers, is to educate and upskill people, particularly on the Gold Coast, who are now being fronted with large format slabs, or it could be any type of design that they're not really used to, and then they have the tools and the knowledge on how to install it. What are they dealing with? They need to keep up with the demand because it is an ever evolving world that we're in, an industry where things are changing at a pretty fast pace now, in comparison to what it was years ago, where it was just 300 by 300, slap it down. Well, it's not like that anymore. Tiling is an art. It's an art form, and you need people who are interested in the art form and can do what they have to do to make that finish for whatever client it might be. It might be retail. It might be a residential home. Yeah. It could be anything.
Yeah. But, now, it's poetically spoken, my language, speaking my language, sorry, Sonya, forget my English there for a second. Yeah, look, I completely agree. I think when I first started this journey with the podcast, it was all about, a part of it was all about, making sure that tiling is held in a much higher regard in terms of its craft. And the fact that, it's, there's not as much love for the industry as what there should be. And hopefully we're changing that sort of one episode at a time. But I hear what you're saying, and I completely agree. So that's great. Yeah. So look, to keep things on track, because I know we've got a very strict time limit today, and for good reasons, of course. So I'm just going to digress a little bit and jump back into another question I wanted to ask. Dallas, you've obviously, you've seen, and this obviously applies to both as well in different aspects, this question. You've seen some things in your career, good, bad and ugly, I'm sure, as we all have in life. What's probably been one of the biggest challenges that you've faced being on the tools?
I suppose it was the start of my business, where I was trying to make a name for myself, as everyone does, and taking on some projects that were probably not out of my league skill level, but out of my league with capacity, I suppose. Yeah. And traveling interstate to try and, because I've agreed to finishing a job in a week that probably takes 10 tilers to do, and I've only got 4, probably the grueling long hours of like 18, 20 hours a day for like 5 days straight, trying to get this thing over the line, working, days, nights, weekends, like things like that. I suppose that was the biggest challenges, I reckon.
What did you learn from that? What was one of the big learnings that you took away from that experience?
Probably work smarter, not harder.
Yeah. I think we can probably all have some of those meals from time to time.
Yeah.
Awesome. Sonya, you, same question. Like, you've been in the industry for a long time, and you've obviously got a world of experience. What's been one of the biggest challenges you faced?
I'd say what I touched on before is designing things where it gets knocked back. Only because there were people that just couldn't do it. Yeah. There were too many no's where there could have been a lot of yeses and a lot of, much more happy people. But I would say that would be the biggest challenge, because with my job, I can draw anything, I can create anything, but actually bringing it into fruition is someone else's job, because I can't do the tiling or I can't do the carpentry. They're the things that are out of my control, but I know the foundation or the fundamentals of what I do design. So I'll only design something I know can be done. And it has. Dallas has proved it. The people that have worked within his team to create the showroom that we've created. And if anyone wants to come in and have a look, you're more than welcome to see exactly what can be done if you have the yes attitude. So it's really the challenge of having a yes attitude.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like the part about, I really like that, Sonya, because obviously I think I shared with you probably during one of our conversations over the last many years that I worked in retail tiling for some time, and I was down at Springwood there when the ceramic tile market was around, and we would often get tilers or customers coming back in after a weekend when we've spent hours doing a selection for a customer, and they would have done 2, 3, 4 bathrooms and a main floor. There'd be, 200, 300, 400 square meters of tiles. And they'll come back in Monday morning going, we have to change it because, the contractor doesn't want to install 600 by 600s in a bathroom. And I'm like, why not? Like, what's the, I know it's more difficult, and I know in some cases, there are particular instances where it can't happen, and, particularly in smaller rooms, but generally speaking, it can occur. Like, it's not a no. It's a let's find a way to make it happen, and that would happen so often.
Yeah, I know, and that's one of the things that we did do in this showroom is we've got the tiniest powder room ever, and we put one single slab on the floor.
Yeah,
And that's just to show people that it can be done, because
Yeah.
I was so tired of hearing about what can and can't be done. I had to prove a point, and we did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a very beautiful looking powder room.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one to be seen, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yes, go to GCF at Nerang, check it out.
Yeah.
While you're there, buy some tiles. Awesome. So, this question has a couple of parts to it, and I know we sort of touched on a few things before, but Dallas, one of the things that we spend a lot of time with people on is the question around what it takes to actually operate a successful business. And I know that question can have a lot of different answers and mechanisms to it, but from your perspective, probably more in that tiling space and also in what you're doing today, what are some of the key ingredients that it takes to be successful in operating in those areas?
I think initially you need good people skills, because you need to be able to engage the business. So, you need to be able to get along with your clients, listen to them so they listen to you, things like that. You need to carefully select your team, and this can take years. I may pick up one guy, one good tiler every year. Maybe I won't pick up an extra good tiler some years. But you might filter through 10, 20, 30 guys a year trying to find that one good tiler that can keep up with the quality that you expect. And I suppose the last thing would be is good management of those team members and the projects. Like, I suppose a lot of people just think like the job's just sort of carved, like people just call you up and you do a job and then you move on to the next job. But it's a constant, constant management required to keep the team busy on projects, multiple projects, but at the same time to make sure that you have projects leading up. Once these projects are finished, that you have projects in the pipeline ready to start once you finish them. So it's a full-time job for multiple staff to manage the company in the background while the tiling's getting done. So,
I didn't ask before. How big is your installation team at the moment? Just for tiling.
Just the tiling, we have locally in Queensland, we have about 20 staff members.
Yeah, wow.
And then nationally, we have probably another 20 or 30, something like that, throughout Australia.
Yeah, awesome.
Yep.
Well, and mate, how do you what's the system? Like, how do you manage people in a state? Is there a clone Dallas somewhere else, or is it just are you on the phone all the time?
Yeah, I mean, I am on the phone all the time. That answers that. But I suppose when I did the travel myself, like when I was like doing the jobs I was saying about, when I'm killing myself for 18 hours a day, when I traveled interstate, I would meet contractors, like I would engage them to come and help me on the jobs, things like that. And I suppose then I just built up a good network of people that I trust. And now like it still requires a small amount of project management, but you're putting faith in someone that you've personally met, and you can see their skills and their quality and their efficiency that they produce. So you trust them to work on your job. So
yeah, nice.
Yep.
And do you have? I imagine that with a workforce that size, you would have some supervisors and things that assist in that process.
I do, yeah. I have site supervisors and even project managers that report to me. So
yeah, awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, fantastic. Were there any moments during the course of you building that workforce where you just thought, is this like, is there a vision? Like, was that the size that you intended it to be, or is it just, has the success taken you down that pathway?
I think it has. Yeah, I don't think I ever really envisioned it to be this size. I think when I met my accountant some years ago, he's a bit of a business advisor as well as my accountant. He sort of asked me, how much do you think you can grow your business? And at that time, I maybe had only like 4 or 5 staff, and And I actually answered him. I said, I think this is probably the maximum I could get to. And then you don't really have a plan to get too big. I mean, we may have this conversation in 10 years and it may be triple the size again. I'm not sure. But yeah, I suppose you just take it year by year at a time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, nice.
Yep.
And Sonya, not to exclude you from the conversation, but anything that you wanted to sort of add there? I mean, regarding your career in business.
I don't know. I think it's just being a team player. There's going to be challenges, and you really need someone to get your back, right? It's working with each other to maximise the outcome. There's no point challenging anyone within your team, because that's not going to get you anywhere. It's more, it's more the cohesion of the team, and then that obviously blooms and grows from there.
Yeah, awesome. Love it. That's cool. Thank you. So obviously there's a lot of different pieces of the puzzle to a business. There's many things that make up how it operates. There's processes, there's people, there's product. And another important ingredient is marketing the business and ensuring that people know about who you are, what you do, your reputation, your brand. What are some of the things that you're doing with the business today with GCF to help explode that brand in the marketplace?
Yeah, well, we've got we're trying to kind of grow organically in a sense.
Cool.
Dallas's wife is a really good social media controller, so she's got that. She drives that side of things.
Nice.
And we've also got a great web designer. So we've got a good website which is easy, simple to understand. And now we've got a radio spot at the moment on CFM. So that's
cool.
Pretty much it, apart from word of mouth, and that Dallas is already extremely busy. But yeah, we're just kind of moving with how it all progresses.
Are you with the CFM stuff? Is it getting on radio? Is that something that's on trend at the moment on the coast? I know that you hear other competitors and stuff on the radio from time to time, but yeah, is that working?
It actually is. Yeah, we've had a handful of people come in, and we kind of always ask when we get new clients through the door. We always ask,
cool.
How did you hear about us? And some of them have been saying, I heard you on the radio and thought we'd come down and check it out. So
yeah, nice.
Yep.
I think the Gold Coast, I mean, look, I've never lived there, but I've lived pretty much my entire life in Queensland, except for that 10 years in Melbourne, but we won't talk about that, especially the last two. So the Gold Coast is a rather small community. Whilst there is, hundreds of thousands of people that live down there, probably millions, I'm not sure. But yeah, so I can see how, from what you're saying, that how that radio part can work quite well or effectively.
Yeah. Gold Coast is small, but it is big. I mean, I've been here for 30 something years. I won't tell how many, but like 30 plus years. And I've seen it grow.
When you were born.
When I but I've seen it grow immensely. Immensely. Yeah. It's nothing like what it used to be.
I think it is a small place, and I think the industry itself is even smaller. And not everyone listens to the radio, and not everyone listens to the same radio station.
Yeah.
But it sort of just takes one person to hear you, and then they might come in and check the place out and go, wow, this place is great. And then they might talk to their network of tilers that they know, and then before you know it, the place is flooded. So
yeah. I think the old school philosophy of one person's great experience or amazing experience in a business is bound to potentially tell 10 others is still very much real in today's landscape. And it's interesting how many businesses still fail to understand that concept and I've been at the end of, some horrific customer service experiences in the last few months. I won't mention any names, but certainly when it takes 70 days to resolve a faulty product issue, that just goes to show you that, those sort of experiences are still happening, and people just don't get it. Like, I every time I go out socially and go to a barbecue or catch up with friends or whatever, and if the conversation turns into, business and experiences and all that sort of stuff, I absolutely share that with people that I know. I'm like, just avoid this place like the plague. Like, don't go there. Or if you do, you've been warned. Like, that if something happens, this potentially might be your experience as well. So,
and it works the other way too. People are having good experience, and that's what we focus on, is people's experience from go to woe. Basically, is just that everyone has a great experience. They want to tell their friends, and that they're happy with the final result as well. Yeah,
absolutely.
Paramount.
Very cool. Very cool. Obviously, the tiling and building industry is experiencing a number of different challenges, like many other industries. What are you seeing at the moment is one or two of the biggest industry challenges that we're facing at the moment in tiling and building?
I suppose a shortage of trades would be one of them, especially when all the tilers got scooped up for the big Queen's Wharf project there. That was hard to get staff, but I think it might be a transition period between the last sort of generation of tilers retiring maybe, and possibly not enough, like I said before, not enough people wanting to learn the craft of tiling. And perhaps that might take some time to build up, a good amount of tilers. So I suppose that's one thing. Obviously, there's the product supply issues as well. Price increases, things like that. I mean, it's all well and good, like the prices of materials and tools and all that, they're going to go up. It's just going to happen. But then that cost then has to be relayed onto the projects, and it doesn't help when when a lot of people are struggling, I think, these days, so like if someone not doing too well, interest rates are high, they don't want to spend money on their home or whatever, and especially they don't want to spend inflated price because of the cost of materials and tools, like I said before. So I think that's probably a big challenge, I reckon.
Are you looking for a water drainage solution that serves its purpose and adds a touch of elegance to your space? Lux's Grates are here to revolutionise your indoor and outdoor spaces. Whether it's your shower, bathroom, balcony, pool, or any other area, Lux's Grates is the ideal choice. It's quick and easy installation that you can bang out in just over an hour. Their standard grates offer a classic and timeless look, while the next generation style adds a modern twist. Lux's Grates are made of high quality anodised aluminium, ensuring durability and longevity.
Well, Dallas, you've touched on a really interesting point. I know we spoke about this before when we were speaking about your manpower and the team that you have around you. How do you hang on to really good people? What's your trick?
I keep them busy even if I'm not busy. That's my trick. Yep. So I think when you get a good staff member, if you like, I mean, everyone's going to have their quiet patches. Even we have our quiet patches, like in between jobs get delayed, things like that. It happens. But when you've got good staff, you need to keep the staff, and the only way they're going to leave is if they haven't got enough work, like if not feeding them enough work. So we just make sure that no matter what, whether we're paying them for nothing, or whether they're helping us clean out the factory or stack the shelves or organise or whatever, we just try and keep them busy all the time, and that's how we retain them.
Yeah, cool, awesome. Sonya, same question for you. Are you seeing anything different in the industry in terms of challenges from your perspective, or much the same as what Dallas mentioned?
Yeah, I think like I did say before about the different materials coming through and just the pushback from a lot of the tradies. I think it's just that whether they're not motivated enough to upskill or what it might be as a background thing, they don't have time. I think that's a big challenge in itself, is just tradespeople learning new skills, and that is just part and parcel of the whole career of tiling or flooring or whatever it is, because things are evolving. Is to keep up with that whole evolution and learning how to deal with things. It'll be, I bet you anything, most tile shops or vinyl or whatever, they're all hoping that there's going to be more tradies out there that can handle product that they're trying to sell. And there's probably going to be just as many people who want that product that they're going to find people that can actually put it in.
Yeah, look, I like that, and I think large format tile panels are a classic example of one of those types of products, right? There's not
even mosaics, mate. Even mosaics.
Oh yeah, look at some of the mosaics coming through now are pretty complicated. I mean, the shapes and textures and sizes, and but panels are one of those things that have been in the country for over a decade now, and we still have a very, very small workforce across the country that's prepared to install them.
It's atrocious.
There potentially hasn't been enough training from the providers or from the suppliers of the panels. There hasn't been enough training from the tool manufacturers in the past. There hasn't been enough support from the European manufacturers. And I think the approach has just been really, somewhat a little bit cowboyish in terms of, it's a big tile. Every tiler should be able to tile it. It's like, well, that's not the case. It takes experience and practice and mistakes and learning from it, to become really skilled at doing it, because it's not easy.
Yeah, you also need the right machinery, the right tools.
Yeah.
And you need to be educated on what tool to use, and A and B, how to use that tool. So there needs to be more education in the industry, I reckon.
And that's what we'd like to do.
And the thing is, people also have to want to learn as well.
The two-way street.
Yeah, look, I attended I'm not going to mention names, but I attended an adhesive manufacturer's training course earlier this year, and I thought it was really good. There was probably about, I think, a dozen people there, a dozen tiling contractors from Brisbane to, the Tweed. And I think most people that went got some really good value out of it. It was a full day's training. However, I think most of them, maybe except for two, walked away with a lot of doubt in their mind about, still, installing it, the practice behind it, the use of the adhesive products, the handling of the product, the pricing, because it's different, right? It's different to laying 80 square meters on a main floor every day of the week. Completely different. You might only put up 3 panels in one day.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I mean, you I suppose them agreeing to go to the training session is probably already a positive.
Definitely.
There might have been a couple of people there that just wanted the free bacon and egg roll. But yeah, I think most of them, once they've already agreed, like they're the type of people that are willing to learn. So
yeah, absolutely. And when we're having bacon and egg rolls tomorrow,
yes, you bet. Yeah,
definitely.
And that's what we want to focus on too, is to provide those trade nights for suppliers to come in and talk to our tilers. Any tiler who wants to come in and see what products they can use, how to use them, and then be a little bit more confident in their ability to actually put these tiles into place. And Dallas is a wealth of information, and he's so good. He imparts that information to everyone and anyone. So he's awesome. Very approachable in that aspect, which is a benefit to any tradesperson that walks in the door.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah, sharing.
So talking about product for a second, one of the things that I wanted to touch on, being a new showroom, compared to some of the others that have been around for a long time, you've made some very conscious decisions about the type of supply network that you have in the business. What's your decision-making processes around choosing suppliers? How do you go, we need to have this suite of suppliers on board? What makes you decide who to choose?
Quality.
Yeah, and I suppose you don't want to sell something that you don't agree with. I mean, well, I don't, and I know Sonya doesn't.
No.
So, and I suppose we're always thinking of ways we can improve the industry as well. Whether it be we see something and we go, oh, well, that's a good idea. We need to get those. We need to get those in here, like a new product. Because we just want to make the industry better and easier for people to deal with, problems or help produce a better product.
Or even restrictions on VOCs, silicosis. What else is there that's out there? Things that need to be biodegradable. There's all these things that are coming into the codes and standards now that we need to have the products that will go into these jobs and be able to be scrutinised without anyone having to walk off a job. There's all these other things that come into play.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I completely agree. I know that. Sorry, you go.
No, you're right. Yeah, no. Well, you need the right cutters. You need the right masks. You need everything that's going to go in with what the red tape requires. And so that's where we go with our products as well. Yeah,
awesome. I mean, I'm going to drop this because they're part of, we've got a partnership now, but I did notice that you had Lux's Greats in the showroom there, which is great. Grate. I like to say that because you can say great twice, but unless you spell it in an audio context, you're not going to understand what I'm talking about. I've been involved with Lux's Greats for since the start of the program, and I was fortunate enough to have Tim Dawson on, who's the CEO of Lux's, and I think they've got a fantastic business, and I think they've developed an incredible product that do you find that type of product works well in with the large format panels, and obviously all tiles, but I imagine that having something that exquisite works well.
Yeah, particularly for large format, because typically you'd have showers and you'd need to split tiles and work a floor to essential waste, whereas this brings the fall into one direction, and that helps heaps, even for renos.
Yeah, it does create. It makes screed easier. You don't have to screed the shower to a centre. Like everyone knows, it's easier to screed on one plane than it is to screed in 4 different planes. Obviously, it saves time splitting tiles. Whether you split the 2 tiles, the 4 tiles around the waist, or the whole shower all the way to the corners. I've seen it done both ways, but both ways are harder than just one plane to the strip drain. So,
cool.
And then, Dallas also mentioned before too, with the drains, sometimes you have to get something custom made. So there was that time lag in getting the measurement, the fall, the everything, the dropper in a certain area. And so that becomes costly and then also a timely thing as well. So I guess that takes that equation too.
Yeah, look, I agree. I think I still remember from the days when I was working at CTM, and when we eventually did get strip drains in, they were all predetermined. So they were cut to specific lengths, and I think you had like a 6 or 9 or 1 meter or something like that. It was, but but if you wanted something custom made, or if you had to fill out this. This is showing my age now. You had to fill out this A4 bit of paper, and you had to draw the diagram, and you had to put where everything had to go. Like there was a process to it, and you had to fax it through. It was like
fax.
And I know, really show my age now, because I don't think computers were that advanced back then. And it would be like a 3 or 4 week wait before you get the strip drain. If you're like, that's a really long, painful process.
And you've got to be accurate in those situations too, because if you want to get ahead of it, and you want to, you don't want to be ordering that thing once you've started tiling. You want to be preempting that. So you need to try and calculate, okay, I've just got a stud wall here. I need all out for 6 mil FC, 5 mil of glue, 10 mil of tile, you know, and either side, and calculate that exact. And then also get your dropper position. That needs to be ordered because it's going to take a week or two to get that in by the time you're ready to tile. And then, oh, oops, I've miscalculated, the dropper doesn't work or something like that. So,
back to square one. You're like, man, I'll be back in 6 weeks. Customer's like, oh, great, need to have a shower with buckets for another 6 weeks. Fantastic. Look, you guys have been great today. Thank you so much for being on the show. We're not finished, but I'm just preempting the next question. Jumping off work for a second. Outside of work, what's life like for both of you guys?
I suppose for me, like it's the last sort of 12 months have been pretty hectic work-wise, so you don't get a lot of time outside of work. So I suppose just spending as much time with the family as you can when you're when you work.
Nice.
Dallas lives at work almost. He's here from 4 a.m.
I know a few people like that.
Weekends.
It's a means to an end, Mark.
Yeah, I agree. It's I completely get it. I don't start at 4, but it's Sonya, what do you? I know you love diving.
Yes.
I've followed that journey since I first met you in the 2000s.
And that won't ever stop.
No, you're posting some really good stuff on Instagram at the moment, so it's really cool. Have you been on some trips?
Trips, yes. I've been all over the world diving.
Yeah. Where's the most amazing place you've dived?
Mark, that is such a difficult question because it depends on what you're looking for, and also, the experience can be so different. It's like I could go to Norway and swim with orcas. That was an amazing experience. I could go to Laos and dive with all sorts of shark species. Mexico for the cenotes, and here we've got some of the best diving in the world in Australia. Wow. Yeah, spectacular. Keeps me in the water. As they say, anytime you're out of the water is only a surface interval, so this is it.
That's so cool. Well, you love it, right? It's part of what makes you you. So that's cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, 2023, we're halfway through. We're nearly 3/4 of the way through. The year has flown. What's on the cards for the rest of the year?
I suppose grow the business a little bit more and get through the big list of projects that we've got going on, scheduled in. We've got some really high-end projects coming up, so you'll have to keep an eye out for those.
Yeah. On the Goldie or around interstate as well?
Some in the Goldie, some in Brisbane, and then a few interstate as well.
Nice. Well, you'll have to after the show. You'll have to. I'll get some information from Sonya and yourself, so we can put some of the more recent projects that you finished in the show notes, so people can get a bit of a feel for the type of tiling that you do. Because one of the things that the wider community loves to hear from other people that are in tiling is obviously how they operate their business and how they meet certain demands and challenges, and particularly there's also a lot of admiration for other work that people do as well. So we'll put that in there.
Yeah.
Sonya, what about you? What's happening for 2023? The rest of it, what have you got planned?
Probably just help to grow the business and focus on maybe just doing a bit more design work for a lot of Dallas's clients and Dallas himself. That will take us through to the end before you know it. I mean, we're already in August and talking about Christmas, so
Well, what do you think? I mean, this is the question that I ponder often. It's always about what's going to happen next year, and there's a lot of conversations happening between different people at the moment about everything's really healthy at the moment. There's plenty of work on. there doesn't seem to be too many things, too many blips on the radar. But certainly 2024 seems a little bit like the unknown. What's your feeling about what the market's going to do next year?
I suppose I'm more of a positive sort of character, and I feel like it's just going to keep going. And on top of that, I suppose I don't really worry too much about anything I can't control. So I suppose whatever happens, whether it grows or whether the market slumps a bit or whatever, we'll deal with whatever comes our way. So
yeah. I think there's a lot of positives out there, though, isn't there?
I think so. Yeah.
A lot of people advocating for this massive, big housing crisis that we're in at the moment, and there's a lot of really positive conversations happening around, the amount of houses that need to be built and some of the initiatives that the government's lobbying for to implement. They recognise. I read an article the other day on LinkedIn from someone that's quite well connected within the building game, and they were saying that if we don't do something today, by about I think it's 2027 or 2028 will be about 1.1 million homes deficit in Australia. That's how much it can blow out to in terms of what we need to put a roof over everyone's head. So I think when you see those sort of numbers, you go, well, that's positive. Not positive in terms of we don't want that to happen, but positive in terms of getting action happening today, so that there is a roof over everyone's head, which essentially provides work for people as well, right? All different types of work.
I suppose we need those builders after all, don't we?
Yes, we do. We need more carpenters. Sorry about that earlier comment.
We need chippies.
Please sign up for your apprenticeship tomorrow.
Yeah. Everything from the ground up we need.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Just because we wear the BAT tiling badge, we talk about tiling. It's all right.
I suppose we need to encourage all trades. All young kids, I suppose. To take on a trade, because we need it. Australia needs it. We need homes. We need hospitals. We need skyscrapers. We need it all. So
So my youngest fella, he's 16 and a half nearly, and he's attending a place called Busy School down at Loganholme, and he's signed up. He wants to become a plumber, so he's signed up for this school. So he left ordinary school, signed up this other school, is doing that. And he can also obtain his certificate too in plumbing while he's there, so that when he finishes school and gets all his accreditations by next year, he'll be able to then take on a full-time apprenticeship. So he's already got a 5-year plan, and he's like, that, in 5 years' time, by the time I'm 22, I want to be fully qualified plumber, have my own business, and it's just like, we just need more kids like you.
Yeah,
definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. That's good.
Very cool. Well, look, before we finish up the episode today, we always like to do our final fast track questions, because there's some excellent questions and usually some pretty cool answers to come back. So we've got 4, so I think we need to split this up, just so otherwise we could be on here for another 15 minutes, and that's not part of our schedule today. So I think, Dallas, I'm going to start with you. In the time that you've been in business and opening up GCF on the Gold Coast as well, so both parts of business, have you what have you considered being? Oh, sorry. Have you had the experience of a professional coach or mentor, or have you been inspired by someone to do what you've done in life? Has there been someone there that's provided you that guidance and support throughout your journey?
I suppose it's hard to really pinpoint one person. I suppose I knew who I wanted to be when I was young. I used to go and wash cars around the street. I had a job at a fish and chip shop when I was 11 years old. Things like that. I always wanted to work. And I suppose you meet people along the way that do guide you in the direction. I had a pretty good mentor when I managed a commercial tile company before I started my own. And I learned a lot of good things from him, but also a lot of things that I probably wouldn't take to my own business as well. And then I suppose along the way you read books and things like that, like business coaching books and things like that help you. So yeah, I wouldn't say it would be any one person, but definitely had some mentors. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Okay, cool. I'm not gonna. I was gonna try and unpack that question. I'm like, I can't do that. We're at the end, because we'll be on here for I don't know. I'll lose time. We've covered off that. So, what's the one lesson that you would say, Dallas, that you've learned that everybody should experience in life?
I think you need integrity. I think in honesty. I think whether you are selling something, you need to believe in that product to sell it well. I think, and I suppose when you are a tiler and you want people to trust your abilities as a tiler, you have to believe in yourself and your own skills, I suppose. So, yeah, I think like, integrity and honesty, I reckon.
Yeah. Excellent. Sonya, I'm going to give you some really awesome questions. I'm going to start with this one. If you were going to write a book, what would you write about?
I'd probably write a children's book.
Ooh.
And I'd probably make it an underwater scene type story.
I think that's been done before, hasn't it?
Days of our lives underwater.
That is so cool. I love it.
It's the child in me, Mark. Okay.
Oh, that's all right. No one's judging at all. No one judges on this program.
No. Keep it simple.
Absolutely. Yeah. If Sonya, if you could go back and give your 18-year-old self one bit of advice, what would it be? It's only a few years ago, so.
She's not even 18 yet.
Do you know what? I would probably, only because I would always think of setting myself up, and I would go buy houses and factories like you can, and then sell them now.
Invest.
Yeah, don't just go out and blow it all on hats and cats.
Yeah. That's gold. I'm sure there's people out there that do that.
Yeah, me. No, go and invest all your money.
Yeah, it's one of. I really like that. It's one of the things that I think of often is that you see a lot of young people growing up, and particularly I think they call them the Zoomers, the young kids now. That's the new term for them, or that's a term that's sort of not stereotypical. Yeah, maybe it is. I'm hearing it a lot, and they're obviously very eager, very keen. They all want to be CEOs. They all want six-figure salaries. They all want it tomorrow or yesterday. They don't want to go through the experiences that life teaches you and the mistakes that you make. They just want it all now.
Yeah.
And I often think about what would life be like today if I didn't spend all of those weekends or moments partying with mates and going through that process when you're young, and you just live it up and you spend your money and you don't do anything and you go to the beach. And what if I traded all of that in and did back then what I'm doing right now at 18? How much different would my life be?
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, you've been absolutely fantastic today. Thank you for coming on the show, Dallas and Sonya. It's so awesome to have you here. We really appreciate it. The wider community really appreciates it. We will obviously, as we like to conclude it in all shows, there will be people that will want to reach out and connecting with yourselves and GCF and find out more about you. So that we can put it in the show notes appropriately. What's the best way for people to connect with you?
Give us a call or just pop in.
Yep.
Or
Our website says everything.
jump on our
address.
website or
Yep.
Instagram or
Yeah.
whatever you want. Yeah, any way you feel comfortable with contact, we'll respond. So
Yep. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yep.
Excellent. Well, I'll put all of that in the show notes so that all of those links and contact details are there, and also some of your projects, recently finished projects,
Yep.
so people can have a bit of a look at the flavour of work that you do. And that's it, guys. So thank you so much for being on the show today. I really appreciate you being here. And as we like to finish off the show, until next time, stay connected.
You're welcome. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks for the opportunity, Mark. Thank you.
You are very welcome. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.